And now, the survival show that once survived being probed by the alien platypus Illuminati. In this episode, your buddy Mark drops by. We discuss holiday gift buying ideas for the prepper in your house. Howdy and welcome to the Rabbit Hole's Urban Survival Podcast. This is episode number 275. I'm your host, Aaron, and you are in the rabbit hole, safe and sound. Today's guest is a longtime friend of the show, Armada member, and all-around cool guy. You may remember him from the Reloading for Beginners episode a while back. And with that, Mark! Welcome back to In the Rabbit Hole.
Good day, sir. How is my famously fuzzy friend doing nowadays?
You know, making babies and doing weird stuff on the interwebs. Which this is fun. We actually get to talk quite a bit because, of course, you are part of the Armada, and we get to talk all the time. But this is even better because we get to do this fun episode. It's just a easy holiday gift guide for preppers. We have, and actually most of this you picked out. It was all kinds of crazy, fun, and some of it just really cool prepper items. So I am going to let you kick us off, sir. Take us out. And start us off with this crazy fire piston.
Yeah, it's one of these things. It's you always think about one is none and two is one and all this stuff. And I've always thought, well, what are the different ways you can actually make some fire? And one of the things that I always thought was kind of cool were those diesel pins, right? Mm-hmm. The ones that you put the compression in on them and you push them down and you literally start the fire on the compression, and then you pull it out, and it's the embers there. Mm. And this Vulcan fire pin, it's actually from your buddies up at Going Gear.
Yep.
And it looks like a classy piece of kit. It's solid aluminum, and it's all machined together, and it comes. You can get them in different styles, different colors, and different accoutrements on it. And basically, it's you take a little piece of cloth and you stick it on the little end of the nubbin and you put it in this little metal tube and you smack it really hard. And the compression actually generates the heat to make the fire. Then when you pull it out, assuming you've done it correctly, you've got this little flanker on the end that you can use in your little bird's nest of fluff to get a fire going. It's just one way of doing it. I just thought it was always pretty cool that it doesn't take anything other than a little bit of char cloth or a little bit of fuzz from the dryer,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've always thought fire pistons were really cool. I've never gotten a chance to just sit around and play with one, but they are one of the more interesting. And I think especially if you're new to outdoor stuff or prepper type stuff, the fire piston, the first time you see it, you're like, wait, what? How'd that? That's crazy. And that one's not too bad. I mean, for a CNC machined piece of aluminum, and I think it's even like anodized, and you can get it in different colors, and it has the checkering on it. I mean, it's $40, so that would be a pretty cool prepper gift to get someone, or to get for someone to get you. So let's see. And then this was one you put on here, and you told me about these recently. I did not know about these arc lighters, which are pretty cool. And so we've got the Tesla coil arc lighter. And not too bad a price either. It's like $16. USB rechargeable, very windproof, which is really neat because like the butane lighters that have the little jet that come out, those are windproof, but like there's windproof and then there's arcing electricity windproof. And this one in particular could, on a full charge, it said it could last a week, or 100 to 300 uses. I guess if you're like clicking it really fast and not holding on to it for too long. I think one of the funniest things with this was the warning, which was do not touch the arc. It will shock and burn. So, okay. Has this happened enough that some fool stuck, how does this work?
Yeah, right. And the one thing I like about it is like, the butane ones are kind of cool, like you say, but technically if you've got a little solar panel, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. This thing, you just keep it recharged like that.
Yeah.
Assuming the EMP doesn't get it, right?
Well, exactly. Well, that's why you would have your little, Mylar bag you would keep it in or something. And it's neat. And one of the other nice things about this is, like you said, like you could use some sort of other charger to charge it up, and you're not having to drag around butane or lighter fluid or anything like that to keep this up. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So what do we got next on the list here?
This is the one that you picked out. This brass match case. I was with the compass on the end. That looks pretty cool. Where'd you see that? Did you actually see one?
I have. They've actually been making these K&M match cases. They've been making them for a long time. They used to make them out of aluminum and brass, and I think I'm not really sure what the story is. The founder of the company, I think he turned over the company to his son, and it looks like that's what's happened. And his son has said, "Look, let's just focus on one thing." I actually have a couple of them. I had a brass one, and I don't know what I did with it. But I have one of the or two of the aluminum ones. I actually have one of the aluminum ones they stopped making a long time ago that's red. But they're really neat. They're supposed to be an heirloom quality match case. And the way I came across with them, like many things, and part of the reason the show is named what it is, In the Rabbit Hole, I went down the rabbit hole of looking at match cases years ago. I got a wild hair and I just thought, I really hate these plastic match cases, and the kind of 10 Boy Scout match cases just weren't very sexy. And for some reason, I felt the need to have a very sexy match. Like, somebody's got to make like just a really crazy match case. And I spent 6 months looking and found these guys. Since then, many other companies have come out and copied them, but they are the original. And they are essentially CNC'd brass, and they have checkering on the outside. And it was interesting. A long time ago, I sat down with the founder of the company and got to ask him all kinds of questions. And I wrote an article about it on the Rabbit Hole a long time ago. And it has double O-rings on the inside, and it's not, so the cap is not threaded. And that was one of the weirdest things where I was like, why isn't this threaded? And the founder's like, for some reason, he's obviously as obsessive about things as I am. He said, well, I bought and collected a lot of match cases over the years, and one of the things I always noticed was teeth marks on the cap. And what I finally realized one day was the reason there are those teeth marks is people will go out in like really cold weather, and those threads will seize up on a match case. And so he puts in the O-ring, and it's a pressure and friction fit to keep it on there. So I always thought that was really like that level of somebody really spent a lot of time thinking it through. They're not cheap. They're $42. So this is definitely like one of those things that you have in your kit that it's like, I love this thing. It's super cool. And you could hand it down to a kid that likes the outdoors or something.
It's one of those things where somebody says, hey, that's pretty cool. Can I see it?
No, don't touch it. So then next on the list, we have Berkey filters. And you are the Berkey filter expert. You've been through a couple, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, not so much a couple. It's the same one, it's different size. And man, they are awesome. It is the standard by which other filters are usually measured.
Mm-hmm.
The one we have now is I'd like to think it's 4-gallon or 6-gallon one.
Ooh.
We did have the 1-gallon one, 1.25-gallon one, and I'm by rights I'm not much of a water drinker. I'm more of milk, tea, coffee, and booze.
Yeah.
But since we actually got the Berkey, I've actually been drinking a lot more water because I'm in a little town. It's not that the water's bad, but you can still taste stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought the Berkey, and I also bought the fluoride filter on it as well. So it takes everything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd be amazed about how much better it tastes. We have a jug in the fridge. All we do is we just pull it out, fill it up from the Berkey, and stick it back in the fridge. And that's what we use in coffee maker and just for drinking water and stuff like that. I can't remember the last time I took water out of the tap, but the Berkey is pretty awesome, and it's one of these things that you could probably pee in it and drink whatever comes out of it. I'm not saying to try that, but it pulls damn near everything out,
mm-hmm.
and it's pretty much the standard. And there's no moving parts. There's those carbon filters in it, and every twice a year, I'll pull it out, get one of those Scotch brand pads, and stick it under the water, and just kind of scrape all the goop off it and rinse them off and put them back in, and I'm good for another 6-7 months.
Huh. Oh, so you can actually service them a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At some point, you're gonna clog.
Yeah.
But we've had ours for 2 years now, give or take.
Mm,
And like I said, every 6 months, just take it and clean it. And it's the filters aren't cheap, and the unit itself isn't cheap, but by far, it's the nicest that I've seen around.
mhm.
And it's read the reviews.
Yeah.
They're the standard. So there's all kinds of options. I like.
Yeah. It's funny. I did the math on a Berkey filter not too long ago. When you compare, like, if you don't want to drink city water and you're on bottled water service, like where you get the 5-gallon jugs every month or something, by the time you get done with the rental fee on the cooler and buying the bottles and everything else, the Berkey is actually cheaper. You come out ahead within, I think it was like 5 months, maybe 6 months, the thing pays for itself. And of course, anything is better than drinking any municipality's water. I've never been anywhere where anyone had good water. Houston being, ugh. But
Speaking of
yeah,
which,
yeah. There you go. There you go. Drink beer. Drink beer. Let's see. Now, next on the list, we have, these are really neat. The Sterapen Ultra, coming in at $72. These are neat because they use UV light, so you're not to kill bacteria. I think this one says it kills 99.9% of bacteria, viruses, and protozoa. Don't forget the protozoa, kids. And the UV lights are neat because they don't require any kind of chemical treatment or boiling or messing about when sterilizing water. And this one in particular treats up to it's 50 uses. And it uses an OLED, or it has an OLED display. And really neat, of course, now everything is USB chargeable. So if you're carrying around one of those little battery packs, or you have one of the newer handy dandy solar chargers, you could use that. I will say the only thing I've ever heard that the negative against UV is you do need to swish it around often, because apparently like some of the smaller bacteria and bits can hide behind any kind of sediment that may be in the water. So that was the only ever thing I heard about UV. But UV still a very neat way of treating water when you're out and about.
and this, but you also have to keep in mind that it doesn't pull any of the solid out. It's just killing stuff. So
Yeah. So you have to filter first, then
right.
Sanitize it. So, and then next up, tell us about the Catadine, Mark.
Catadine. We actually had a Catadine at one point that we used to take camping when we tent camp, and it was one of those that you pumped.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually, we were out there one day and we had a full 5 gallons of water there, and I was like, shit, I've got this thing. I'm going to use it. So I went down to the stream and pumped it out, and I didn't die. So anyway, and it was a Canadian, and I was like, man, this thing is pretty cool. But they can get pretty pricey. This one here is like just over $300, like $305 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of professional grade, I guess you want to call it. It's designed for people that really live outdoors and backpacking, which that's a lot of what the prepper is, because if something happens, grab AK, run in the woods, get your water filter.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the filter's got the silver impregnation in it, so it kills the little bugs with the silver as well, which is a big deal. And I think it's down to 0.2 microns. I think it says as well. It really is kind of like the best of both worlds in that it does filter out pretty damn good, and it also kills and filters out a lot of the little critters as well. So it's almost reverse osmosis, but reverse osmosis is pretty hard to get any amount of volume out of, and you need higher pressures. And if this one here does like a liter a minute, which is reasonable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a higher end piece of kit at $300. But if you're looking to really kind of go with the peak of it, then the Catadin pocket is the way to fly if you can do it.
Yeah, I think that was when we had Marshall Hoots from Going Gear on a while back. That was, he said, like, if you want something that you can go anywhere in the world and you're a professional guide or something, that's the one that all the professionals rely on. So, and it's for backpacking and stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next on the list, we get to food. And Mark's edition, which of course is the CMMG tactical bacon in a can at $26. It's a little pricey for for 9 ounces of bacon, but it is apocalypse ready bacon, ready to eat. It is fully cooked and prepared, perfect for camping, hunting, zombie standoffs, end of the world type scenarios of any kind. I've seen a few things like this over the years, and it always cracks me up. But it's not a terrible idea because if you're a prepper and you want to stash some stuff away, I mean, canned bacon. I mean, talk about comfort food in a bad situation.
They make canned bacon. I've seen canned butter. Yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Butter and bacon makes the day go around,
Yeah, the only in that kit, I think the only other thing you need is like a flask of filled with something to help you get through the moment.
So wash it down, yeah.
There you go. And then next on the list, what do we have there, Mark?
Well, that's it's an easy open can of unicorn meat.
I love unicorn meat.
Unicorn, it's it's a little gamey, but it's the aftertaste is very sweet. It's kind of soft. It's easy to spread around. It's like butter almost.
It's like unicorn pate almost. Yeah.
Very pate-ish, yes. And as near as I can tell, or at least according to the packaging, it's they put extra sparkles in there now, and it's absolutely magical to eat. I haven't, and just to be on the up and up here, I haven't had the tactical bacon, nor have I had unicorn.
Special occasions only. That you're saving it. I understand.
Well, I know what you're getting.
Next on the list in the category of communication, we had this really great ham meetup recently for the Armada, and my screen is doing crazy things. And that was a lot of fun. And one of the neat things that I found out was that Baofeng has released, and I know there's a little bit of fuss going on about Baofeng right now, but they have released a new version of the radio I have, and it pumped up to 8 watts. So you've got 8 watts of dual band two-way power from 136 to 174 megahertz VHF and 400 to 520 megahertz UHF. And they're $62.89. I do not know how these guys make such cheap radios, and they're really not bad. Like, they're not. You think they don't feel like a complete piece of junk, and I've not heard of anyone breaking a whole bunch of them. They're not super durable. I mean, they are radios. You're not buying some ridiculously expensive Motorola or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. And communication in the zombie apocalypse, very important.
Everybody was kind of in the beginning when Baofeng came out. They were like, they were like Yugos.
Yeah,
they were ugly. They were loud, plastic colors, and if you looked at them too hard, parts would fall off and crap like that. And the antennas were just horrible. But
yeah,
the past couple of years, they've gained a whole lot better of a reputation. So, and I've actually thought about getting one. On that note, one of the things that you put on the list were these signal sticks, and I've heard of this guy. Basically, it uses a nickel titanium alloy, and it's super long. I mean, it's huge. It's bigly. It's like over 18 inches long. The guy gives a lifetime guarantee, and I think the guy talked about them on the ham broadcast too. That he said they're absolutely phenomenal, unbreakable. Just if you're going to upgrade something, get that.
Yeah, and they're pretty cheap. What, at $20? I actually just got one in, so I'm going to play with it a little bit, and we'll put it in a future episode. They're really neat. He was showing us on the on the video chat. He was like tying it in loops and doing all this stuff, and then knocking it, and it would unfurl itself, and it wasn't bending or kinking or anything like that. And I think the nice part about it was you could, even though that antenna is so long at 18 inches, you could curl it down, wind it back on itself, throw it in a bag, and it's not like this unwieldy giant thing hanging about.
Or you could be super tactical. You could tie it back like a whip down to your belt, and then you could be like a Humvee going down the road and just pull the string and have the antenna whip up with a flag.
Yes. Well, you got to have a flag. You have to have a flag always. So now next on the list, and I am so glad that you put this on here. It is very important. The female portable urination device at $11.97. Ladies, it lets you pee standing up. I did go check out the product photography, and I will say, whoever made this has a very good sense of humor, because they have like a woman in what looks like a nightclub at a urinal, kind of leaned up like she's had too many against it. They are made of durable antimicrobial medical grade silicone, not just any silicone, medical grade silicone. It includes a handy dandy carry bag. I'm still not really sure exactly how these work. I have heard from a few women that they do actually work really well, and they find them very handy. I guess instead of, having to pull your pants down or hike a skirt up every single time you want to go to the bathroom, these would be quite convenient. And, medical grade silicone.
Well,
So,
come on. I mean, there's also, how many of them, like, I don't know about you, but the best part about being a guy is being able to be your initials in the snow.
this is true.
Not that you can do that in Houston, not very often.
No, not very often, but everyone once in their life should be able to pee their initials in the snow. One thing I didn't understand, and I was curious about, like, do you just tuck this thing back in after you're done, just like it is a a piece of anatomy, or do you take it out and put it in the bag? I don't know. Maybe somebody can leave it in the comments for this episode as to exactly how those things work.
I personally am looking forward to the comments in general.
So now, next on the list, we have the is that a handheld bidet, Mark? Did you put a handheld bidet? Please walk us into this fantastic piece of kit.
See,
you have
look, y'all are laughing, right? And thinking, what the name of God is he thinking? Look, it's called the Bio Bidet. The model is called the Palm Handheld Personal Bidet. And just think about it. It's about a half-liter plastic reservoir, okay? You fill up with water, and it's got this arm on it, and it's about 7.5 inches long, and at the end of it's got like 2 little spray heads. And I mean, it needs to have a long arm and multiple spray heads because some people have a lot more area to reach around and stuff,
True.
Basically, you fill up water, you reach around there and give yourself a little squirt. But because, I mean, you of all people should know that toilet paper is essential.
Oh, toilet paper is absolutely essential. And when you run out, everyone needs a handheld bidet, or just because you have that not so fresh feeling and you want to, freshen up a little bit while you're in the zombie platypus apocalypse. And, what better way than...
I mean, it does not help with the dirty mind.
No.
But that being said, it actually is a decent idea. Because, again, run out of TP. What are you going to do? Laugh all you want. Stuff's got to go somewhere.
Yeah. It's a good way to wash your bum.
What? This is a good idea. And when you go on Amazon, you can purchase it in like multi-packs. You can buy like packs of 5 and 10, so you can get one for your whole platoon.
Bidets for everyone. I love it. You be very popular in the apocalypse, just handing out, here guys, handheld bidets for everybody. And what would a prepper gift guide be without talking about night vision? We got a couple here for you. We'll start off with some of the higher end options is the TNV PVS, 14 L3 Gen 3 Omni. These people and their names at $3,445. Yeah. This is an auto-gated night vision monocular, the kind that you mount onto a helmet, or you could weapons mount this to. It is one of the bad boys. It is Gen 3. You can see all kinds of crap. And after reading the description very carefully, the intensifier tubes are hand selected. I don't know how that works exactly. I'm sure I'm being a jerk, and they're like, oh, it's a very complicated, very serious matter. But I did notice in their copy, hand selected intensifier tubes. That's what you get for, approximately $3,500 worth of night vision. But it is awesome. And I'm still I still very much want a PV14, PVS 14. I don't know why I can't get that out today. But they are really cool. And then next up, what do we got there, Mark?
That's oh yeah, that's right. You got the Walmart version here. Well, not really the Walmart version, the more
affordable,
normal one that us little minions can afford. It's the ATN Excite 2, and it's actually the Excite 2 HD, and they come in several different flavors of different magnifications and options. The 5 to 20 goes for about $520. It's really considered to be one of the better ones by most people for under $1,000. You'll see a lot of you guys on YouTube with 22s and blackouts hunting varmints at night with it, and it's got a smart feature day or night, so you can use it during the day as well. It switches between them, and it's got the internal ballistic calculator that you plug in all your numbers, and it says, "Hey, dumbass, you need to aim a little bit higher." Hit the little red dot, but it also it's very important because you don't need to go, "Hey, did you see that?" because it records everything. So on the downside, it also records everything. So you can't blame it. But I've actually used a friend of mine has an ATN site. It's not the HD one. It's the step down from it. But he put it on his golly, what's that big 338 Lapua?
Oh God.
And the tooth rattler. Anyway, we got about 4 rounds, and it looks okay. It's a little bit pixelated, but for what it is and what he paid for it, if that's the image that you get at night as well during the day, it's worth it. And the ATN, it's been around for several generations, and most people do like them. Obviously, there's pros and cons to that, but again, it's all software run, so these things do get updated from time to time with updates from ATN. So say if there's an update I know they had one for power consumption. They were having problems with it. It was really eating the batteries, and they came out with the second or third version of their ROM and downloaded it, and people said problem went away.
Huh.
So there's some other buggy stuff that they're still working on, but at least it's upgradable. So I wonder if that $3,500 one's like that.
Probably not. Probably not.
But anyway, but my favorite of the whole one is the next.
Tell us about. You go ahead and tell us about that. You put it on the list. What was so exciting about this one?
This is the poop. I've said this for years and years and years that there's nothing more irritating that if you want to do something different, you have to change out the equipment. It's like back home when you have to put on snow tires in the winter. Why can't I just leave the all seasons on? Well, because you'll end up in the ditch. Well, this is the same thing here. Like let's say your little baby gun, your 308, okay, your little semi-auto, that little fiddly thing you got. What's its name again?
You mean Lucy?
Lucy. There you go. Lucy. You got an okay scope on that thing, right?
It's all right.
Yeah. This thing here from Pulsar, which is another pretty common brand out there, you actually bolt it or you connect it to your existing scope. And it's the Pulsar DFA Digital Night Vision Attachment Forward, it's called. It's about $1,000. It's not cheap, but it's still significantly less than everything else. It's a moderate display. It's not super high tech. It's not super high resolution. But you literally take your scope, you put a little adapter on the main lens, and you pop this thing on top of it. You now have night vision.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it still has electronic windage and elevation adjustment. So you stick it on there, and you can line up crosshairs for what it has with your crosshairs, or you can use your existing crosshairs. You can adjust it real time. And the other cool thing about it is you can actually pop it off there, and with the proper equipment, you convert it to a monocular. So I just thought it was friggin' brilliant that you could take your existing hardware with your favorite scope or whatever it is, pop this thing on there, and you're done. You don't have to re-zero anything. You don't have to fiddle around with anything else. You just stick it on. Boom, you got night vision.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, again, Pulsar DFA 75. It's about $1,000, but man, I'm really leaning towards getting one of these things.
I can hear that. I can hear that. And speaking of gun stuff, let's move on to the AccuShot Atlas PSR bipod. The bipod, so amazing. Mark just had to have one too. They are not cheap. If you are looking for a bipod and you want the ultimate in bipods, they go for around about $279. They can go up from there. They are bomb proof. They are made out of 6061 T6 aluminum and 7075 T6 aluminum reinforced legs. They are mil-spec, Type 3, hard coat, anodized, and heat treated. They mount to any Picatinny rail. You can get options with a quick throw lever, which is the one that I have. Mark, did you get the one with the throw lever, or did you get the one that just bolts right on?
I got the quick throw as well.
All the cool kids are doing the quick throw lever. It also has the pan and cant feature, and the cant feature goes up to 45 degrees. So if you have your legs set on some kind of ground and all you got to do is twist a little knob and you cant the rifle so that you are level with whatever it is you are trying to destroy. And comes in they have several styles of feet that you can get as an option. I think it comes with the rubber feet, and then you can also buy spikes or these other like claw things that really dig into stuff. I did not get any of the other feet. I only got the rubber feet. I'd be curious to see what the other feet are like. But the other feet, since mostly I'm not really shooting in a lot of dirt or anything, I didn't need them. Maybe at some point I will. And they are made in America. The one thing I will throw out, there are a ton of counterfeits for these AccuShot Atlas bipods. I was at a gun show with you, Mark, and while I was there, this was before I bought mine, I noticed there were a ton of counterfeits everywhere for like $20 to $50. And when you look at the difference between a real one and the counterfeit, you understand why you want to buy the real one. The counterfeits are not worth it. They are, you might as well buy a Harris bipod if you're going to do it. The other thing is, these bipods are bipods completely rethought, completely re-engineered. There's no external springs or anything like that. Everything is really high grade, machined aluminum. They are just, everything about them just feels like America. They're just awesome. What were your thoughts on yours? Why did you end up having to have one too?
Well, I got you had your little toy up there, so I said, well, we'll see what this little turd will do. So I sat down, pushed up and bared up on it. And I, at that point, I hadn't used bipods much. Mm-hmm. The reason being is that I do what they call loading them up. I'll kind of put the rifle there and then I'll lean forward a bit and kind of put a little bit of shoulder weight on it. Whether you're supposed to do that or not, I don't know. All I know is that to me, it stabilizes everything. Mm. And I used to find, like I've got a Remington bolt gun, and I used to find that even with a short bipod on that one, when I would kind of lean over into it, even with a decent stock on it, you would feel like kind of expect the legs to kind of flex a little bit, but it felt like the whole thing was just wasn't connected strong. Mm. But I found with the Atlas that, man, when I kind of leaned over it and loaded into it, it just felt like honestly like it was two bricks just going right up to the forend. I mean, you could feel the forend flex before the legs. And it was so easy to adjust. It's got that little friction fitting. You just kind of pull up on it and it pops up and down. And it's like, oh, this is very nice.
They are very nice. Very nice.
Very nice. Where'd you get this? Did you get it in Canada? No, damn it.
None of that Canadian stuff. Let's see. Next on the list, we have the Taxol X-Ring Takedown Ruger 1022 with Magpul stock. I got to fondle one of these on a recent excursion to Austin to see Jonathan. It is not a cheap 1022 at $1,100, but oh Oh, they are so nice. I really thought it was quite brilliant when Ruger finally came out with a Takedown 22. I mean, just such a perfect backpacking little survival rifle that is. But Taxol, if you're not familiar with them, they make all kinds of really cool barrels and all kinds of other stuff. They also make an upper for the Ruger Mark series of pistols that is super cool. You actually see them in the movies often that assassins using them. Very cool stuff. They always look very, very nice. This doesn't just look cool. It's really cool. It's a fluted barrel, a fluted heavy barrel. It has all the same takedown mechanisms that the Ruger typically has. It also has, because of the Magpul stock, built-in storage for extra magazines. And under the rifle, there is a spot where when you take the barrel off, or I should say, break the barrel down, the other half of the barrel clips into the underside of the stock, and you get this just perfect little package. They are just, if I didn't already have two, and if I wasn't on any kind of a gun buying hiatus, I would have taken one home with me that day. They also come with really nice fiber optic stuff.
Aaron wasn't married, he'd have one.
No. If it wasn't, working on babies and all that kind of stuff, I would be thinking about one a little bit harder. So next we have, and this one, my hat's off to you. I had never used one of these before. And then you said, here, dummy, use one of these. And I was like, oh, these are magical. Tell us what this magicalness is.
I can't remember where I first saw this. It's basically called a squeeze bag. And you see it all the time where the guys will have their sandbags up front on the forearms and stuff like that. And then they'll have like a wedge bag in the end at the buttstock and whatnot. But it looks like it's a lot of crap to carry around, But with ultra cool tactical guys like yourself, I mean, you don't want to carry all that crap, right? So the squeeze bag is maybe it's about the size of a can of beer. To be honest, it's pretty small. It's pretty light. It's usually got some of them have rice in them, but some of them, the new ones have a poly filling, like like pebbles, little pebbles in them, and basically, you take this little bag, it's the size of a beer can, and you put it on the bench or whatever, and you lay your buttstock on it. And of course, it's soft, so the buttstock kind of fits into it automatically, just sits there. And when you put it up against your shoulder, first of all, it gives you somewhere to put your hand. And if you want to change the elevation that you're shooting at, you just squeeze the bag. And as you squeeze it, you bring the buttstock up and you bring the front of the rifle down. And it's an ultra stable platform. It's just so nice to be able to have it rock solid, because you know yourself that when you have a good bipod, you can't blame anything other than the trigger pull and how you're setting your shoulder. Well, this takes that out of the equation, really. All you're down to now is trigger pull, because you have good bipod, you have the bag there and everything set up. So you've got your 3 points of contact for all intents and purposes. So now it's all up to your trigger pull and how you look through the scope, and how you're breathing. But man, it just gives you such a nice, solid, stable platform. And even I've even seen guys where what they'll do, they'll take the bag. Let's say they've got a narrow surface that they're going to be shooting over. They'll take the bag and lay it on that narrow surface, so it makes it a little bit wider, and then they can lay the rifle on that. So you use it for multiple purposes, but I like using it at the range when I'm shooting from the bench, and it works with any rifle. It works. I use it on my lever gun. I use it on my AR, and I'm sure it will work phenomenal on a Beowulf upper.
Oh, yes, everything works better with a Beowulf upper.
Yeah. But you would have to get it in multicam if you put it with a Beowulf.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, it's like $13, man. 13 or 14 bucks. I'm telling you, it's something. It's the size of a beer can. You throw it in your range bag, you take it with you, just leave it in there. It's the size of your case that you take your shooting glasses with, and it works for everything. I think they're great.
I think they're great too. One of the things I liked was the ability to, with just gentle squeezes, you're able to make just micro adjustments to your point of aim. And I remember when the first time I was like, wow, this is I so I got my start with Appleseed and stuff like that, and really was used to shooting with slings. So even shooting with a bipod for me was a very new thing. And then that bag, I was like, oh, this is nice, especially like if you're in prone or if you're at a bench. Really nice stuff. It's almost cheating. It's almost cheating.
There's one. I've also seen somebody take it. There was a fairly big guy, and he was at big old orangutan arms, and he actually had it strapped over his buttstock and gave him a couple of extra inches of length of pull. So there's people using it for all kinds of stuff, you know.
Very neat. Let's see. Next on the list, we have tools and manly shit. Mark's title. So we have the battle mug. I saw these a few years ago. I'm glad you put this on here. The battle mugs are neat. They're a little pricey for a mug at $189. They are the world's only Picatinny rail integrated mug for when you need an extra manly coffee or beer. And you can even, since it's a Picatinny rail, if you need a handle for your mug, you can use an AR carry handle for a little extra manliness there. And, made in America. Let's see. Next up, what do we got there, Mark?
We got this is something that actually I have something like this. The Fix-It Sticks shooting and hunting set. Now, the one that you picked out here is the small, I guess, almost like a set of range tools that you can take with you all the time. It's maybe the size of your fist or a little bit smaller. The one I've got a set of Fix-It Sticks that basically it's a torque setting or controlling driver with the heads control the torque. So it's basically a T-handle that you just put the heads on it, and you get them I think you can get them all in the standard sizes of scope rings. What are the scope ring torques?
I think it's 10, or is it 6?
10 or 6. Well, either way, you look it up, and it only fits one size. Right? So it's one of these things that it's just such a nice thing to have. And it's like the squeeze bag. You don't know that you don't need it until you have it. And look, this thing is brilliant. It's all the little screwdriver heads, all the nut driver heads, and the torque limiting function, which is a big deal when, I don't know about you, but I've screwed up one or two sets of ring. Yeah.
Snapping the heads off screws, yeah.
So it's just kind of nice, and they make all kinds of doohickeys to go with it. They make like I think they make like a Glock punch set for it, and a maintenance kit for your AR. I don't think they have high torque pieces.
No, they stop at let's see, they stop at 80 inch-pounds. I don't remember how many nanometers that is. That 7 or 8 nanometers, but anyway, we'll just do it in inch-pounds. They stop at 80, which for me is a little disappointing because I'm still looking for a good preset torque wrench at 140 inch-pounds for my LMT. But I could buy one, but if you buy one from like Snap-on or whatever, you're going to drop like $200 for one of those.
It's the one thing about it is that it's kind of like the bipod. You pick it up and you go, man, this is kind of nice, you know? And there's nothing proprietary about it. Technically, you could take your driver attachments from any other screwdriver and use them with this if you really wanted to. I think it's a standard 1/4 inch drive or whatever. I think they're 1/4 inch drive.
Yeah,
it's not expensive, but it's not cheap, and I think I'm actually thinking about getting one as well to stick in the range bag. Every range bag needs a set of screwdrivers and a squib load tool so you can knock that bullet.
Yes. All right, next up we've got for security and fire, we have, starting off, the toilet brush safe so that you can hide your valuables in plain sight. This thing goes for, let's see, where was it? I think They're actually kind of pricey at like $100. I don't know why it says.
No, they're $12.
Oh, are they $12? Okay, all right. I was looking at something earlier today that was on there, and I thought it was $100. I was like, man, that's a pricey toilet brush safe. It is, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what you think it is. It is a toilet brush with a hidden compartment. You've got that extra. One, it's hidden in plain sight. Two, you've got that ick factor of who wants to touch a toilet. I don't even want to touch my own toilet brush. It's just nasty. And apparently, the added bonus, this is also a true working toilet brush. It is not just a place to hide your valuables next to the toilet in case, you wanted to hide your valuables next to the toilet. Now, Mark, you did find this on the Rolling Papers website. I guess that is some of that new legalized Canadian kush that you were looking to hide or something.
Yeah, but we're just so much ahead of
you. So next up, we had another really good one. I hadn't seen this one before. You put it on the list. What do we got there?
Yeah, it's the wall vault. It's not cheap, but it's not expensive. It's basically it looks like an electric fuse box, and it's set up in such a way that it they say you can install it in like 20 or 30 minutes because it's basically a panel that fits in standard 16-inch stud spacing. So all of us being perfectionists, gunsmiths, we all have Dremels and stuff, so you can go in and just kind of cut a hole in the wall and kind of just plop it in there. But basically, yeah, it's another one of these cases where it's a lockable safe, but it's right in front of you. And I've always liked that idea that the stuff that isn't really thought-provoking and searchable, like I think, like when a thief goes into a house or something, he's going to go in and he's going to look at the Barbasol cans and things like that, because those are the styles of safes that people have nowadays. This is new. I haven't seen this.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks like a really, really good idea because you could stick it anywhere in the house. You could stick it out in the utility room. You could stick it in the back of your closet, and it wouldn't look like it was screaming, "I'm a safe. Here I am."
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, it's $270. It ain't cheap. It ain't expensive, and it looks pretty DIY. And it still has a locking mechanism. It's I think it's a 3-digit code. So it's not, it's not high tech. Don't hide your weed in there. Your Canadian weed in there, because it's somebody's gonna find it.
Yeah, I don't think it has a like a gasket or anything from sealing off from smells. So.
No, and let's be dead serious. If somebody really wants it, they can get it.
Yeah.
And this is kind of been my mantra, is that, either the safe is so big and heavy that there's no way in hell they're going to get to it. Although they seem to be pretty good at getting ATMs nowadays as well. So if somebody really wants it, they'll get it.
Yeah.
Unless they don't know what it is. Hence, this wall vault, and laugh all we want, but I mean, toilet brush. I mean, come on, right?
That is actually a pretty good one. I had not seen that before. Next on the list, we have the fire-resistant 12x11 document bag. These are really cool. We have fire safes, and I really like fire safes. But one thing that always concerns me is putting documents in there, and especially some documents like birth certificates, things like that. I'm always like, yes, this has great fire protection, but I just feel better if there was a little bit more, or if you were putting cash in a safe or something like that. It's pretty cheap at $14.95. You could throw in whatever you want. Another interesting thing, as I was going through the description on it, you can put lithium batteries in there if you are concerned about lithium batteries blowing up. Apparently, this can not only protect from an external fire, from their description, it can contain a fire as well. And it's also water resistant, which is another really good thing. Because after the fire, what usually happens is men in a big red truck bring a big water hose and they get water all over everything. So, which you're glad about at the time, just not necessarily afterwards, where everything, including your documents, is soaking wet. Moving on to tinfoil hattery and shenanigans. Mark, what do we got here for tinfoil hats and shenanigans?
I shit you not, you can buy a tinfoil hat kit on eBay, on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, what are your brainwaves worth? Apparently about 11 bucks,
Mm.
11, 12 bucks. Honestly, if you're really worried about the Illuminati's coming in and picking your brains, then this is the way to fly. Now, this particular one is probably worth the extra couple of bucks because it does have a mylar exterior, but it's got a felt lining.
Mm. Fancy.
There's nothing worse than having your aluminum hat on. It nicks. It's little sharp edges. It's just
Yeah.
you know. I used to be full on brunette, and the aluminum kind of bleached me out.
Yeah, it happens. The Illuminati aliens
Yeah,
thankfully did not get to your brain, but you had to sacrifice the color of your locks.
Now listen. I found a special one just for you. Okay, because it's kind of what we're all thinking about. If you're protecting your head, what about the rest of you?
Well, now I am glad that you brought this to my. I wish you had brought this to my attention a few days ago. I had to have my an annual chest X-ray, and I was really quite concerned. The wife and I are working on things, and I thought, gosh, they're about to irradiate my piece of the puzzle. We'll call it. Not cheap. Now there is a solution, but it's not necessarily cheap for $45. But to protect your manly bits from radiation or probing from the Illuminati aliens, we have the Spartan, not just, but we have the Spartan radiation shielded boxer shorts. It is a Faraday cage for your junk. I like that. That was a good description you put in there, Mark. A Faraday cage for your junk, 99% radiation blocked with the wave stopper technology, antibacterial and anti-odor, doesn't set off security scans. No, this is not a gun in my pants.
It's my steering pan.
Hey. I would, if I wasn't already on so many watch lists, I would wear a pair of these through security next time just to see what would happen, because they have the security scanners now where they look at your junk for no apparent reason, and I think it would be hysterical to wear a piece of these. I'm pretty sure that would get you a trip to the rubber glove section of the airport. But yeah, Spartan radiation shielded boxer shorts. Very nice choice, Mark. Now next, for the prepper who has everything, what do we get them, Mark?
You can actually get them nothing.
Huh?
You can actually buy. It's a ball of nothing. It's literally a ball of air. It comes in its own unique packaging, and it's about 16, 17 bucks on Amazon. But if you know somebody that's got a Corvette, a Lamborghini, a sailboat, a yacht, at least a nice microphone and a red hat, they deserve a ball of nothing. And you can get it. We'll give you the link in the notes, I guess. But you can get the person that has everything, nothing.
Kind of surprised at 16 bucks, though, that you can buy that much nothing.
It's kind of like Pet Rock, right?
Yeah. So round it out real quick. We're going to give you some other things. We've talked about all kinds of gear. We are going to quickly give you two really great things. I'm going to talk about one of these in greater depth, or actually by the time this airs, it should have already been in more depth. And that is the Rifle Dynamics build class. This is not a cheap class, but it is a 2-day class, and you walk away with a AK you built yourself. It is 2 payments of $1,150 for a total of $2,300. I would say, having been to one recently and gotten to hang out with the awesome Jim Fuller, 110% worth it. And yes, I did pay for my class and everything. So it is essentially you spend 1 day in class getting to hear the history and nuance that is the AK, and then you start building your rifle. And then the next day is a range day. You go to the range, you try out the rifle, you do some fine tuning. You also get to play with some freaking awesome fully automatic Kalashnikov variants, including the PKM. You only get one small strip of the PKM and it goes very fast, kids. So class size is limited to about 10 people. I think it may have been a plus or minus thing, but I think it's around about that. I would not recommend this for bachelor parties, although really cool idea unless you're dealing with older bachelors who are not going to go out on the Las Vegas Strip and get completely wasted or waste all their dollar bills someplace. If you are willing to get up early, be in Vegas and get up early and attend class, you will have a much better time. We actually remained mostly sober the entire time. We did not party. We acted like old men that we are. And we enjoyed the class very much. I think there may have been one or two people who did not, and they were a little, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be messing with the jacks and everything else we were using while hungover. What you get, you leave with the knowledge of how to build more AKs, which you actually get. You can walk out of there and build more AKs. You get a special appreciation for understanding the weapon, which I will say, every time I talk to Jim, I come away with a completely different and new understanding of the AK. And I was not a fan of the AK before. I just thought it's kind of cool. It's neat. There's a lot of history to it, whatever. I have gained a better appreciation over the time. And after going to this class, I now actually really like AKs quite a bit. The other thing you walk away with is you get to hang out with an industry legend for 2 days. And Jim and his wife and the entire crew there are freaking awesome. Did I mention you get to play with fully automatic Kalashnikovs? Very cool stuff. If you hate Las Vegas, having fun, adult language, guns, then this is not for you. Everybody else, I would highly recommend taking the Rifle Dynamics class.
Yeah, I've fiddled with that AK of yours. It's nice. And if you look at it at a round number, $2,000, hell, that's a 2-day course, a rifle, and you get to get some insider information. So $2,000 seems very, very, very reasonable. It's probably more of a pain in the ass to get the trip up there, finding a place to stay, and losing a weekend than actually separating yourself from the money. I think $2,000 is not out to lunch for what you're getting.
Yeah. And I had a good time with it because, I mean, it was an excuse to take a road trip with a friend from Texas to Las Vegas. And of course, we got to drive back with the AKs that we built from the class. I think everybody else pretty much shipped them back to themselves. But since we were driving, we just threw them in the pickup truck and drove back with AKs. It was pretty awesome, just in case of zombies. Next up, and last, or actually not last, but next up on the list, what do we got there, Mark?
Dark Angel Medical. Nobody really likes to talk about anything outside of guns and things like that. It's just not cool, you know?
Right.
And this is not cheap stuff, and it's not easy to find. It's, these guys particularly is about $400, give or take, per course. Really, I mean, there's not much other than feeding and watering yourself, health and medical skills when things have gone downhill and sideways and up and around in figure eights. Really, you do need it. These guys do travel all over. They're all over the place. So you can check their training page. We'll have the link in the notes, I guess. They also have their own purpose-built medical kits. And I think there's a couple of the guys that we talked to have them. They say they're phenomenal. Neither of us have attended them. I've had enough medical crap happen to me over the past decade that I'm done. If I die tomorrow, I'm fine with that. But I think you need people around that can do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not Red Cross first aid stuff. This is a little bit more advanced. And it's kind of like, when people go out and take an NRA pistol course versus if you were to go and take Mag 40, it's that kind of difference. You talk to anybody that has been in the military or paramilitary, and there's very few things in the world that can shut you down quicker than a bad medical situation. So again, for a couple $100, why not? If that's your cup of tea.
Yep. So last on the list, it is a secret one. It is I'm going to call it the secret Red Ranch for now. There will be an announcement coming soon. There is a place being built in Texas for hosting survival and tactical courses. A longtime friend of ITRH is putting this together. Essentially, think of it as tactical and survival summer camp. That's a good way to think of it. So stay tuned for news on that. And with that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. We tried to just make it light and fun and give you some fun ideas for gifts you can get for the prepper in your life or just for yourself. And with that, Mark, thank you for your contribution to this episode. It's lots of fun to hang out with you. And audience, we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.
Show notes, links to items mentioned in this episode, and other tasty resources can be found by going to intherabbithole.com/E275. Get more survival goodness and help support the show. Visit itrh.net to become part of the Roving Horde Armada. It's members just like you who really do help keep the lights on. Again, visit itrh.net. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to do all that YouTube stuff. Like this video, subscribe, and slap that bell around because bananas are yellow. With that, we wrap up episode number 275 from the Lone Star State. Till next time, stay safe and sound.